Number 7. Fort Street Union Depot. The Fort Street Union Depot was a passenger train station finished in 1893, built in the Romanesque Revival style. James Stewart, a follower of Henry Hobson Richardson, designed the train depot. At the time, there were mixed reactions and reviews of the building as a piece of architecture that was monumental and gutsy and of being in a solid, aggressive style. Others noted it being of robust plastic composition, while others speak of it with pride, proclaiming it as an ornament to the city. The station served many flagship trains, such as the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, the Pennsylvania Railroad, and the Paris-Marquette Railway. The station closed in 1971, with the last operator, the Wabash Railroad, operating the Wabash Cannonball Line to St. Louis, Missouri. Preservationists attempted to save the building, but sadly, it met its ultimate demise in 1974. Number 6. Post Office, U.S. Customs House, and the Federal Courthouse. Located at the corner of Shelby and West 4th Streets, the Post Office, U.S. Customs House, and Federal Courthouse stood for 34 years. The design was taken from James H. Windrum of Philadelphia, a Romanesque revival. In 1931, Detroit native Charles Lindbergh was reported to have circled around the Federal Courthouse in an airplane, saluting officials who gathered to observe. Years to build and only months to demolish, the building met its final fate in 1931 after the decision was made to move the governmental activities to a new structure. Parts of the majestic building remain, such as the clock from the tower at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn. Number 5. The Detroit Museum of Art. At 704 East Jefferson Avenue, the old Detroit Museum of Art stood as a bastion of culture. This was one of several buildings in the city designed in a Richardsonian Romanesque manner. James Balfour designed the building, and it opened in 1888. Before the museum opened, Detroiters would attend art loan exhibitions, but thanks to the help of names like Russell A. Alger, Senator Thomas Palmer, and James E. and George H. Scripps, and nearly 2,000 citizens, $100,000 was raised for the permanent art museum to be opened. On March 21, 1886, a headline in the Detroit Free Press read, "It is raised." Unfortunately, the location came at the cost of razing the colonial-style home of American General Hugh Brady, who served in the Northwest Indian War under General Anthony Wayne. The Museum of Art would eventually be torn down for the Hastings Expressway, also known as Interstate 75, the Chrysler Freeway, in 1960. Number 4. The Opera House. The first Detroit Opera House was completed in 1869 in the Campus Martius area. This was the number 1 place in Detroit for entertainment back in its day. Though new versions of the Opera House would be built over the years, this incarnation was met with a fire in 1897. The building was of a Second Empire style and was designed by architect Mortimer L. Smith. Number 3. Hotel Pontchartrain. Known as the Paunch, Hotel Pontchartrain sat at 660 Woodward Avenue in Cadillac Square. Designed by architect George D. Mason, the hotel opened in 1907. Tiffany & Co. of New York was behind much of the decor in the luxurious hotel. A great place of networking, auto barons would come to the bar of the hotel in its heyday, such as Henry Ford, Horace and John Dodge, William Durant of General Motors, Louis Chevrolet, and the Lellans of Cadillac. After financial difficulties, the hotel was bought by the First and Old Detroit National Bank. But with the impracticality of renovations and redesigns, the building ended up meeting a sad fate early in 1920 as it was demolished. Number 2. City Hall. Construction on the old City Hall began in 1867 and was completed in 1871. Sitting at Campus Martius, the Detroit City Hall was designed in an Italian Renaissance Revival style with a Second Empire mansard roof being added at some point in the design process. The tower rose to 180 feet tall. Michigan pioneer Bella Hubbard commissioned the building be adorned with French explorers and missionaries such as Antoine Cadillac, Gabriel Richard, Jacques Marquette, and the Sieur de la Salle. The City Hall survived multiple attempts to demolish it, but even though the numbers were on the side of citizen support to defend the building, the Common Council voted 5-4 to demolish the grand edifice in 1961. Lacking rivals in height, the structure predated the city's first skyscrapers by about 20 years. Just about every year from 1871 onwards, the clock tower bell would bring couples out on New Year's Eve for a midnight kiss. Number 1. The Detroit Public Library. Opened in 1877, the Detroit Public Library was built in the Second Empire style, designed by Henry T. Brush and Hugh Smith. Renowned for its interior, the stacks were quite grand, with beautiful railings, iron columns, and extravagant ornamentation. In a true tragic fashion, the library was demolished in 1931 as it was deemed old-fashioned and to make way for another branch library.